Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
I know we started a little late, but we unfortunately had an appointment I couldn't change earlier. So
People who can't
welcome.
stick to their appointment times changed it on you.
They changed their appointment at the last minute, and then you have no choice, especially since I postponed that thing. It got postponed 2 other times. I said, I'm not going to postpone it again. I'm going to get this thing over with.
There you go.
Hey, it is what it is. But hey, how about those clowns in Washington, huh? They got
always something.
They're voting on the WEP, the windfall. But they talked all day yesterday about the amendments. They're talking about it today. But how about the close the shutdown propaganda? Both sides. It's incredible how they're so full of shit, especially the Democrats. They wanted to push through that 1,500-page bill, and they do it every year. 1,500 pages that those two uniparty, they're not, McConnell and Schumer put together with all the pork in it, building a stadium in D.C., a new stadium for the Washington football team, a pay raise, and the best one that I really like, CJ.
Yeah, I'm listening.
The Democrats who had Jesus Obama, the savior of the world, their idol, their Ronald Reagans. Obama, the Prince of Tides. He was the most wonderful president in the world. He was one of the worst we've ever had, if you pay attention to what he did. He did nothing. Obamacare sucks. Remember, that was the thing the Democrats said he was going to save the healthcare system?
Yeah.
It sucks. And guess what part of that bill was? It allowed them to opt out of Obamacare.
Of course.
Because it sucks. And a big fat pay raise. And of course, a whole bunch of other big pork barrel products for all their districts.
And that's exactly what Elon Musk and President Trump said it was. It was nothing but a pork barrel budget.
Yeah. And it always is every year. Look, They do the same thing. Paul's the people who pull Paul's strings, that's pretty good. It's like Peter Piper picked the pull Paul's strings, or Paul the puppets, but but they do this every year, just like when they bring shit down to the council at the last minute. Oh, we got to approve this, otherwise we're going to get sued. Otherwise, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose this. We're going to lose that. It's the oldest con in the book. And it's nice that Trump is saying, look, no more of this horse shit. You guys got all year to get a budget ready. Get it ready. Every year. And what do? Just like they do in Fall River and these other cities, they threaten public safety, disaster aid, all the threats to say, oh, yeah, you got to go vote for this because, the hurricane victims are not going to get taken care of. Well, how long ago was that hurricane? They're still living in tents while the illegals are living in hotels and the FEMA workers are living in a hotel right near the tents. But the people who got devastated are still waiting for help. But they say, oh, we got to get it right now. We got to get it right now. It was like 2 months ago when we had the damn hurricane and nothing happened because FEMA is totally useless. But I mean, these guys are so pathetic. And then the Republicans, they always amaze me. They're so freaking stupid. It's incredible. I've never seen a party that shoots each other. The Democrats at least stick together. Even though they hate each other, a lot of them, they will not. Yeah, of course. Well, free healthcare, but Obamacare sucks. It's just. But the Democrats stick together. You might get 1 or 2 like they did on this thing. They had 2 Democrats, I think. But they had 20 some or 30 some Republicans vote against they took 1,500 pages and reduced it down to like 160 or something like that. And for the most part, it was fairly good. They cut most of the pork out. The only thing was they were going to raise the debt ceiling, which they need that cushion supposedly to do what they got to do, because you got to spend money ultimately to save money. So a few of those Republicans decided to forget about their constituency. We're going to kill this too. We could have helped everybody. They were going to help the hurricane victims. They were pretty decent. It's a bill that had some concessions, but it took care of a lot of good things. You got to compromise. The word compromise now, you wait till the 11th hour. This is about as good as you're going to do. But the Republicans, they torpedoed their own bill. Of course, every Democrat was going to vote against it because they're not going to get a pay raise. They're not going to be able to opt out of Obamacare. They're not going to have all their pork barrel projects. But the friggin' Republicans, they're always stabbing each other in the back. No wonder they can't get anywhere in states that have got a fairly decent Democratic population, because they're their own worst enemy. They can't even get a solid vote within their own party. That's why all these rhinos got to go. That's why they hated Trump so much. Trump is beginning to bring together the party. But even the people who supported Trump, now all of a sudden they get this, I can't vote for this because I don't want to raise the debt ceiling. We're going to help save money. Well, they explained why they needed it. It's a temporary increase, and they're going to try to do it later. But hey, this is it. This is why Washington should be basically be taken out of play. I know that one of Trump's things was to take a lot of these departments and spread them out all over the country. They have created this bastion of ticks, and they all live in the same geographical area. They're all in that city, Washington, D.C., and that's like bizarro world. They all live in their bubble, and they take care of each other. And this is the problem. They all crap in the same pot. And I mean, it's horrifying to watch this shit again. They do it every year, and it never changes. And when Trump tries to change it, and everybody bitches, look, now we're going to get nothing. No, it's not his fault. It's the Congress and the Senate's fault. They didn't do shit. They waited right till the end again. And then what did they do? You got to vote for this. It's just like Paulie Pockets when he goes in front of the council. You have to vote for this right now. The building's going to collapse. The sky's going to fall in. They do this shit every year. You got to throw these people out. You get into a job. You have to have a budget. It's supposed to be ready. You got a year to do these things. Now you're going to wait till the last week and then bring down a budget that nobody had any input in except Schumer, McConnell, Hakeem Jeffries, basically. And, I know the Republican supposedly had some input, but he didn't, because he was part of that second bill. They didn't listen to him anyway. So it was McConnell, who's an absolute zero. He's nothing more than a Democrat. He's a uniparty. He's about as he's about a unipod. Yeah, he may be a unit too. I don't know, but I don't know about that. But the thing is that it's those three idiots put that 1,500-page thing together, and it's like nobody can read it. They give it to them like 12 hours before they're going to vote. Nobody can read the bill. But they did, because then you got people like Musk and they'll sit down and read it if it takes them 15 hours to read it. But you see, this is why they hated Trump. He wants to get rid of this bull. So that's it, CJ. Back to you on this one.
Oh, no. You're preaching to the choir.
Okay? Yeah, I know I am.
You know that. When I saw that it was a 1,500-page bill, okay, I'm like, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Politicians wrote it. But the sad part about it is that even after Trump said, I don't want this bill passed, the Democrats said, he's against the country. He's anti-American. That's anti-American. The country can't be shut down. Guess what? Nothing's going to be affected by the country being shut down. The House and the Senate are still going to get their paychecks. The president's still going to get his paycheck. The people on Social Security are still going to get their paychecks.
Yeah.
The only people not getting their paychecks are the government employees. And
the bureaucrats.
Paycheck, I'm not showing up.
You mean the people that haven't showed up for work for 4 years?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, those guys. They shouldn't have got a paycheck for the last 4 years. And
right.
This is the problem. This is the problem with these people. They what they really meant to say is you got to read through the lines. Oh, disaster victims aren't going to get their money. Well, where were you when we actually had the hurricane?
Correct.
They're still living in tents. So, but what they really said was, you got to vote for this. We're not going to get our pay raise. We're not going to be opted out of. We won't be able to opt out of Obamacare. We won't get all our pork barrel projects that are in his 1,500 pages.
But did you hear what they said about their pay raise? We have refused a pay raise since 2014. We are entitled to one.
Yeah,
that's how they justified it. Because under Trump, they're not going to get one.
The only thing they're entitled to is be born and die. That's it. You don't get a pay. You guys don't deserve a pay raise. You've destroyed the freaking country. And I never saw a congressman or a senator that didn't become a hell of a lot wealthier once they got to Washington.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know. Lyndon Baines Johnson, that's my favorite one. Everybody knows about Lyndon Johnson. Now, Lyndon Johnson, for you people who don't follow politics at all, you should know who this guy is, because he's not like, we're not talking about somebody from the 1700s. Lyndon Johnson was our president during the Vietnam War. And he was the vice president to Kennedy when Kennedy was assassinated, and then he became the president again. He got reelected. He went to Washington. He was from Texas. And when he went to Washington, he trotted off to Washington as a freshman. And by the time he was elected president, he was one of the richest men in Texas. Now, look, that's saying something in Texas. You got a lot of oil men in Texas. You got a lot of big businessmen in Texas with a lot of money. To be one of the wealthiest people in the state of Texas, you got to have some money. And everybody says, we haven't had a pay raise in 6 years. Lyndon Baines Johnson was one of the richest men in Texas, and he didn't have a side job. He was a politician once he got there, and he stayed there for the rest of his life. You know what he was when he went to Washington? A school teacher. Making about $12,000 a year. Oh, mysteriously, they're loaded. Oh, they collect money for their campaigns. People give them, here's a gift. Don't make sure nobody knows about it. But insider trading. Nancy Pelosi, hundreds of thousands of dollars in insider trading. Even Joe Biden finally threw her under the bus because he was pissed off at her. People who are in Congress should not be able to get stocks. They should not be stock trading. They get all kinds of insider information. I mean, look at Nancy Pelosi can't walk down the stairs without falling down. She's like Biden. How do they make all these great stock investments? Yeah, because they're all geniuses. No, they're not. They think Guam's going to sink if there's too many trucks on one side of the island. Most of them couldn't get a job doing French fries at McDonald's. But everybody that goes to Washington leaves rich. So I say, you haven't had a pay raise since isn't that what our state legislature used? CJ?
They always do.
Does my memory serve me correctly? The last time they gave themselves a pay raise, they were whining when it increased all the stipends.
Oh yeah, you mean when it took them all over $100,000 a year?
Yeah. Remember that? Wasn't that their excuse? Oh, the Senator Pro Tem, all these other people with these titles, they haven't had a raise in their stipend for that job in I don't know how many years. Oh, we're so poor. We're so poor. And I still got the article in my file in the other room.
What articles don't you have?
Yeah, among the thousands of other pages of stuff that I got about Mike Roderick being the third highest receiver of all these stipends and things like this. These people, they just lie their asses off. They make so much money that you don't see in their base salary. And like I said, they're always whining, we haven't had a pay raise. And well, I'll tell you what, I never saw anybody leave Congress because they were making too little money. You need C4, and a backhoe to get them out of there for the most part. You don't see too many people leaving Washington to go back to work in private industry. They all stay there. Even the ones who were very wealthy when they got there, they stay there because they'll still be wealthy because they still got stock interest in their own companies. And they get so much that the people don't know about. Like I said, most people don't realize it. You go to Congress, your ass hits the seat. As soon as it hits the seat, you got a pension for life and health care.
That's right.
One day. Everybody else is going to work 30 years, work till they're 65 or so, unless they're public safety, it's 55. And then you might get a pension, and it's not going to be a great pension, but their pension is a great pension. They definitely keep up with the cost of living. And they got the best healthcare system on the planet, but they still want to get out of Obamacare because they know it sucks. But
and from what I understand, they all get permanent access to the House and the Senate.
Yeah,
they all get permanent access. They're all treated as though they're still going strong.
They're like emeritus.
Yep. And here's the best part about it. Every time a bill comes up to restrict them from selling and buying stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, they don't get it. They don't get it. They just don't get it. And they immediately reject it. They say, no, we can't have that. Can't have that at all. Not possible. But that's what they do.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Senate is sitting and the congressmen sitting there that are active right now, they're not going to say that you can't trade stock because they're all trading stock.
Hello? Yeah.
All right, well, let's see Jay get on, or he's off. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot. They're all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's like Granholm, that nitwit, when all of a sudden when they knew all the damn all the requirements to buy EVs and stuff like that. She bought all kinds of EV stock, and she said, "Oh, I didn't realize that that was a problem. I didn't even realize that those regulations were coming down." Of course you didn't. You're the one who made them. Your department created half of those regulations. But oh, geez, I don't know. I was lucky. Yeah, I just lucky, I guess. I knew that stock was going to go through the roof. And when they dump their stocks, they know they're tanking. They know it was like what's her name, Martha Stewart.
Right.
But they put Martha Stewart in jail.
Right. But a senator or a congressman's not going to jail.
No, as a matter of fact, they give themselves pats on the back, give each other the inside
information. Look at that! I made another $500 million. Yay!
Hey, I got a stock tip for you, there, Mitch. You know,
give me this Pelosi.
Give me this vote.
Pelosi.
Yeah. Hey, is Pelosi out of the hospital in Italy yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, they better be careful. She's like 172, right?
All she did was break a hip.
Yeah, but you know, when you get a broken hip at 172, that's serious.
That's serious, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know, it is, though. Isn't it amazing that elderly people, a lot of them, when they take a serious fall and break like a hip or something like that, they virtually never recover?
No, and as a matter of fact, my experience, at least 50% die from complications. Not from the surgery, but from complications. Blood clots, pneumonia, thrombus. Those are the things that kill them.
Yeah.
Because they are most susceptible to these things.
Yeah.
And then what gets them going, I'm telling you, this phone's going to drive me nuts. It's going to drive me nuts. What really gets me going is the fact that they know this is going to happen, that there's a possibility that these things are going to happen, and they just don't get it. I don't know how many nurses I know that say, "Oh, well, I don't understand why her blood pressure is starting to get low. I don't understand why she's complaining of pain. I don't understand why in her leg. It's not in her hip, it's in her leg. I don't understand why she's complaining of pain, that she can't breathe, that she has pain in her lungs." Well, she's got a pulmonary embolism. It's not easy. When you break a bone, especially a large bone, okay, you can get what's called fat embolisms. And that's one of their big concerns, fat embolisms. And those happen a lot. But a lot of people who have broken a hip have paid the ultimate price because they just didn't recover. And they complain about the PT like you don't believe. And they try to get them up within 24 hours after the surgery now. They don't wait.
Yeah.
I think that works fine when you're 40 or 50, but when you're 80, it might be a little difficult.
Well, you see, the problem you got, CJ, is if once you pass like 70 years old, when you go to most of these hospitals and stuff, even the medical treatments for most of these people are, we'll wait and see what happens. All they're doing is waiting for you to die. The only people that get treated once they get older are the really, really rich people or the important people. Then they might worry about blood clots and thrombosis and stuff in somebody that's a bazillionaire, and this guy is important. There is a double standard in healthcare too, because once you get to be a certain age, it's like, well, what do you expect? You made it to 70, so hey, from now on, everything's a bonus day, even if you're in the greatest shape in the world for your age. I can bet you Fauci gets great health care.
Of course.
And Fauci's 83 or 84. And I mean, look, the guy's a stiff. I mean, he killed millions of people. He's a lying sack of shit. But you got to give the guy credit. He's in decent shape. You can tell. He gets around great. I mean, if you looked at him and Biden, I think he's older than Biden. I mean, the guy's got all his faculties physically. I mean, did you ever see that video of Biden trying to walk on a beach when he was getting his feet stuck in the sand? and he was like almost falling over with every step. It was tragic to watch that video. I mean, now that's the other thing. Now, do you notice everything's breaking now? They're leaking that they knew that he was compromised before he took office.
Right.
The first day he was in office, they were rescheduling meetings. The second day in office, they were already saying he had good days and bad days. We got to reschedule these meetings. They were restricting who could see him. They only could ask specific questions. They knew this guy was a total incompetent. He could not be the president of the United States. And now one of those reports they leaked said that they knew it. Obama did not want him to be president, but when they said we got to put him in because he's the only guy that can win, we'll run him on good old Joe, Scranton Joe. They said, the hell with him. It's going to be like Weekend at Bernie's for 4 years. We're just going to prop him up and prop him up and pretend that he's real, and everybody will cover it up. We'll cover it up. The media will cover it up, no matter what he says. And then Kamala, she should be put in jail. She violated a constitutional oath. You don't think that vice president should have said, listen, this guy can't run. He's not running a country. 25th Amendment, here we come. But of course, the Democrats never have to do that. They'll try to throw Trump out, 25th Amendment, he's senile, he'll do and no matter what, he's wearing slick shoes on a slippery ramp and he slips a little bit. Oh, look at him. They project onto him what Biden was, but they covered this guy up for 4 years. That's actually it's treason to this country. They put us in jeopardy, and look where we are. Invaded by illegals, wars raging all over the world because of these incompetent idiots that were supposedly running the country. But if the other party does it, they're going to be, the media will go up their ass with a flashlight.
Interesting. I'm getting all this information on all these tabs. Michael Rogers just took some, oh, thank you. He got $650,000. We talked about this a couple of days ago for the youth violence prevention money as a Shannon grant. And they give him McCloskey, who is the youth services coordinator in the city. I don't know what he does. They give him kudos because he's done such a great job. I don't know how much of a great job that was over at Griffin Park. I don't know about that.
How about the couple of fights outside the school lately?
What about that?
Listen, you and I, I pity the fool. Oh, we got Mrs. T now. Wait a minute. Pity the fool. No, yeah, and also they went to illegals for the most part, but you're right. But look, this is the old political game, CJ. Nobody knows that better than you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is what they do. They come down here, they give money to their friends, who then give the money to the people they appointed to jobs to make them look good, and then they do exactly what that woman in North Carolina said at the beginning of that school committee meeting. They spend the next 45 minutes telling each other how great they are and how much good they're doing. And show me a program that's really worked. I know. How much money have they sent down to help education? And the educational system in the United States has gone continually down, where the public school system is there are third world countries that have better educational systems.
Well, you know my position on that. I firmly believe the money should follow the student.
You're right.
And when you get put into a private school by your parents, the $10,000 or $11,000 that the school says they spend on you follows you to that school. If they lose enough money, they'll start to improve.
Yeah. Give $600,000 to the people who can't pay their rent. But see, these programs don't work. Remember how many billions of dollars to build EV stations, and they got 8 of them and only 7 of them worked, or 6 of them worked, and they ended up costing $1 billion a piece. Then there was another company they paid they paid hundreds of billions of dollars to build like 100,000 of something. And so far, they've spent all those billions of dollars, and they've built 53 of them.
I was going to say they built about 50, isn't it?
Yeah, 53. So it's like, this is what they do. And then they come down and they put it in the press like so they can throw bouquets at everybody to pretend they're doing something. And that's, oh yeah, one of Coogan's appointees, or one of their appointees. Oh, they're doing a wonderful. No, they're not. They piss away money. They get money grants all the time for doing it. Show me something that has actually worked. How long has BCTC been in forever? How many real jobs have they, look at how great they've done getting jobs and apprenticeship courses in Florida. We got people that, all it is places to stick people in, give them pay raises, give them grants, and nothing ever happens with these grants. They were going to build charging stations. So look at the shipper brains over in California, Newsom, the bullet train. What is that? That was like $500 billion was the price tag on that one. And it's still it's not even anywhere. It's like 1/10 completed. I mean, it'll never get completed. These people love to say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm giving them all this money. Yeah, well, look, the problem is you can't let the government run anything. In private industry, if you own a restaurant and your food sucks, and
don't go back in the restaurant,
and it's too high priced, you're going to go out of business. If you run any kind of business and you're not efficient, effective, you're not going to stay in business unless you get government contracts or you're a governmental agency. Then you make zillions of dollars like the NGOs do. The NGOs make zillions of dollars because they're hooked up with the United States. How many trillions, not billions, how many trillions of dollars have the NGOs made with illegal aliens? I'd like to know that number. It would be staggering. They're the ones who transport them, house them, and they're all making money. But they're called non-governmental. But they are. They're joined at the hip with the government. They're the shadow government, like the bureaucrats that are, like the 87,000 new IRS agents they hired. Are they working from home?
Probably
Why
not.
do we need 87,000? We should have a real simple tax form. That's the other thing they'll never touch. They've been talking for years about revising the tax system. All it ever does is get more complex and screw the working man more. Because I know one thing, there are not a hell of a lot of illegals filling out their tax returns.
That's for sure.
Can I claim all the illegals in Fall River as dependents? We should be able to.
We should.
Right? We should. Everybody should get a cut. Every city and town in the United States, they should do a head count of illegals and then prorate those, and say every taxpayer gets to declare 4 or 5 illegals as dependents. Yeah, well, look, BCTC is infamous because they had one employee that I think worked there for 35 years and showed up for work 4 times. Talk about working from home.
I wonder who that is. Hey, I got to divert this conversation a little bit.
Okay.
Did you know that the city of Boston is going to get a 10.5% tax increase this year? 10.5%. Whatever happened to the 2.5? Whatever happened to Prop 2.5? Boston had it waived. And guess why? They don't have any money. And you know why they don't have any money?
Illegals.
Because they bought a fleet. Not one, not two, not three, not 10. A fleet of high-end Ford Mustang electric vehicles at $50,000 a piece.
I don't know how they could raise the taxes in addition to 2.5 without an override, because that's a statute.
I know.
Where are the people in Boston to file a lawsuit? Well, I'll tell you, most of the people who can live in Boston are rich now, and the other people just they just unfortunately can't get out of Boston.
Right.
I don't know how you can get 10.5 increase without I mean, the 2.5 statute is mandatory. There are no exemptions to 2.5 to my knowledge.
That's right.
We read a lot of laws, and I know you do and I do. We read a lot of laws, and a lot of the laws in the Commonwealth say, in all cities and towns except Worcester. Worcester's the big exception because of their charter. And we see a lot of that with that, but that's not 2.5. 2.5, every city and town in the state is required not to increase more than 2. I don't know how that happened. We'll have to research that one.
I think they went to the state legislature to have them grant them special legislation to grant them a waiver for this year. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure they even could do that. But this is the first thing. Now, what do you think about the school teacher who allegedly rapes a 14-year-old student at Durfee High School, and the jury finds him not guilty?
Well, he no longer allegedly did anything because he's been found not guilty. Yeah, the dog wants a photo op. My dog's sleeping on a couch. My dog.
That's it. But no, I mean, I've got the article right here in front of me. That's one of the things I was reading. Are you ready for this? You're going to love this. The defense says that his relationship was inappropriate, but no sexual intercourse occurred. Yet, according to what was given to the jury, they alleged that there was oral, digital, and vaginal intercourse. According to testimony, the relationship lasted from May to October of 2018 and came to light in 2020. This shows you how on top of things Durfee High School is. During the 6-day trial, jurors heard often lurid testimony from faculty and staff at the Florida Public School System, the student, and Menendez himself, who took the stand in his own defense. The jury came back after about 4 hours. He faced 2 charges of rape of a child, aggravated by 10 years age difference, and 1 charge of rape of a child, aggravated by his status as a mandated reporter. Menendez's defense attorney, John Calcagney, stressed to the jury that the case was about an inappropriate, non-sexual, emotional relationship between a teacher and student. He said the defense conceded that Menendez's relationship with the accuser was improper, but that he said the two did not have intercourse, which is the basis of the complaint. However, unprofessional and unsettling, and perhaps immoral as this emotional, inappropriate relationship may have been, it was not criminal. Calgoni told the jury, "We came together because Tori is accused of having sex with the victim. And that is the question that you need to answer." He said the appropriate remedy for Menendez's behavior was for him to lose his job and for him to never again be able to step foot in a classroom. That end has been achieved. What do you think?
Well, apparently the jury didn't get enough evidence, and what disturbs me about this whole thing is, you know, uh, you obviously the prosecution has said there was physical contact, and they're basically saying there wasn't physical. So it's he said, she said. But the thing is, they talk about the testimony from school personnel. You notice that we never, ever even knew about this until it broke as a criminal case.
Yeah.
Again, the school committee covering up everything like they always do, and they wonder why this behavior
continues.
And why lawsuits. You don't think, as I said, here's a guy. Now, what happens now? Now? He theoretically could try to get his job back.
Theoretically, I think you could.
I don't know if he would, because then we would, well, who knows? In this city, they might give it to him. In this city,
anything's possible.
Because they can't get teachers. But the fact is that, in this case, if I were on a school committee, I would fight it and say, even though he was found not guilty, he was by his own admission, he had an improper, non-physical interaction with the student. Therefore, he should never be allowed to teach again. So, that would be my position, but that's only my opinion. But theoretically, he could try to get his job back.
Agreed.
Because, once you're found not guilty, they can't technically hold that against you. You have now been exonerated.
That's right.
So
not guilty does not mean innocent. Remember that.
Well, I remember an arbitration on that freaking Walgreens. Text, phone calls, emails, just to tell me I got a prescription ready. Oh my God, they drive me crazy. But we had an arbitration once, and the city was obviously screwing somebody because of personal animosity between the chief at the time and the individual, which we got something going on like that now in today's fire department that will ultimately come to light, I guess. But our confidential sources have informed us of that. We will break it when it is, because I know that it's still in the process of whether it will be resolved, litigated, or whatever. But we had a situation where it was obvious that the chief, screwed a guy out of a job because he didn't like him. It was obvious. So we went to arbitration, and we proved that it was obviously a situation where the chief used his personal animus toward the person to deny him the position. And it was one of the, I think, only one or two arbitrations. We went there on principle, but we knew we had a possibility of losing it because it wasn't like a job that you would have to shut a whole piece down or something. It was a job in staff, so it was stood alone. So we knew that, our position was that the position was funded for the year. The chief said he wasn't going to fill it because he was going to eliminate the position in next year's budget. But we said, well, this guy's number one on the list, give him the job. And then if there's no money next year, demote him, but he won't have to take a test again, and he'll get the next job in line because he deserves the job, when he's on the list and he's number one. And which was a fairly plausible argument. But then again, the fact that they didn't like him, they were not going to do it. The city just said no, And then the arbitrator ruled and said, listen, and he even said it at the meeting, you've proven that it was personal, but the city is the employer, and this job they can eliminate it. Because it's, if they want to eliminate a position, they can eliminate a position. So the guy never got the job. He ruined his career. Fortunately, he was close to the end of his career because if it was for a high-ranking position. But he never ever he got over it. He was kind of postal, and he was very upset. And then, he was on the verge of maybe going, filing all kinds of suits and everything else. But we sat in a room with him with a lawyer, and the lawyer made a very astute observation when he explained the problem to him, because he just couldn't get over it, because he knew that he'd been wronged. Our attorney looked at him and said, listen, everybody in this room, the arbitrator, anybody who looks at this case knows you got screwed because, fundamentally the chief's an asshole, and he used his position to get back at you because he doesn't like you. But what they did was morally wrong, but legally right. And therein lies the thing. There are certain things that are done that are morally wrong. You shouldn't do these things if you have any sense of morality, but they may be legally right. It's like, the city of San Francisco letting people die in the streets, shooting up and living in the street while they're putting illegals in hotels is morally wrong. But that one isn't legally right either, because they're not supposed to be here. But it's morally reprehensible. And that's the problem. Like this case, he was found not guilty. And like you said, CJ, it doesn't mean that he's not guilty. I mean, we've had a few people. O.J. Simpson, he was found not guilty. So most people don't believe that. But things can be morally wrong and unfortunately legal within the parameters of being right.
Exactly. Hey, this just came across my newsfeed. Liz Cheney referred for criminal investigation for witness tampering related to the January 6th star witness Cassidy Hutchinson. Going to be interesting.
Yeah, the one that testified that she never really heard anything. It was all hearsay, which is inadmissible in anything except the January 6th kangaroo court. They suppressed thousands of hours of video, which would have exonerated 90% of the people that got charged and put in jail, because that was another Democratic hatchet job to get people. And while they were letting people actually murder people and burn down cities, and then rate and contributing to their bail fund, they took a few people that were wandering around with elk horns on their head and stuff, and threw their ass in jail and made them. It was like 9/11. I mean, their ability, the Democrats' ability to just lie on demand and just completely distort everything. I mean, Pearl Harbor, 9/11, they're still talking about the people who died during January 6th. The guy that got that Capitol Police officer died of an embolism, a stroke. After. It had nothing to do with January 6th. The only person that died on January 6th was a 105-pound Air Force veteran woman who was shot by a cowardly Capitol Police officer hiding behind a wall that shot her dead and then got a freaking medal. And that Capitol Police officer had already been censured for improper use of his firearm. They gave him a medal. That's the Democratic Party. That's why I hate Democrats. They have no morality, they have no soul, and they are the most disingenuous pack of scumbags that I have ever seen.
You might think
I made it clear how I feel about Democrats. And just like their 1,500-page bill with all their pork, you know where they can stick that pork? Where the sun doesn't shine.
That's it. That's it. Hey, I want to apologize to everybody for all the phone calls. I mean, people know not to call me until after our show, but because we adjusted the time of the show, everyone called me when the show is over. So this is what happens. But one of those calls that called me 3 times in a row was important, so I took the call.
Yeah.
I want to apologize for that, but
Not a
it
problem.
happens.
I have to apologize for Walgreens. I should have realized that if I had a prescription at Walgreens, I have to shut my phone off because when the prescription's ready for pickup, they send me a text, they call me by phone, they send me an email, and then they send me another text, and they're going to do this until they just drive you crazy until you go pick up the prescription. So.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. They're saying there's going to be some snow today, or snow rain mix. Be careful on the roads because it might be a little slippery. But they say there's going to be no accumulation, though. Nothing for us to worry about. Down here, a little bit further north, there'll be some accumulation. But again, I want to thank you for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. It's going to be cold.
Christmas show. Oh, shit.